In 1932, Australia started a unique war that was neither against any country nor against any group, but it was a war against this voiceless bird named emu, which had shown stars to the Australian military during the day. It seems quite strange that what issue could anyone have with a bird that they would have to launch an entire military operation against it, but Australia had taken such a step and suffered a severe defeat in it. But wait, I have shocking news for you. Only a tiny bit of you have hit subscribe. Let's fix that. Click that subscribe button and join the cool crowd. One click from you makes a huge difference for us. How did the Depression affect Aussie farmers? After World War I, the whole world was going through the Great Depression, and Australia had also come under its influence. Here, the farmers were not growing anything in their fields because of the difference between demand and supply in the market. The price of everything was very low due to which the farmers could not even meet their expenses. If this continues, then Australia will not have anything left for its food. To control this thing, the Australian government has forced the farmers. Farmers agreed to the conditions of the government and started the production of wheat. But when these crops were ready, the government went back on its promise, and the government started offering low rates to the farmers. In protest, the farmers decided not to sell their wheat at such rates, which led to their decision not to harvest the crops. Now, it was not that the Australian government did not need wheat. In a way, they were blackmailing the farmers because they knew that if the farmers did not sell the crop to the government, their crops would be affected by insects. But what did the Australian government know that the coming trouble was going to be even more painful than being affected by insects? Found only in Australia, their breeding season is over. What do you think could have been done to support the farmers during this tough time? Share your thoughts in the comment section. How did the Emu Dilemma arise? This was a serious issue because the emus migrate after their breeding season. When the emu were migrating from inland areas to the coast, they saw ready wheat fields in Western Australia. A group of 20,000 birds entered these wheat fields and started destroying the fields by eating them overnight. This bird, 5.5 feet long and weight is 45 kilograms, can eat easily up to 2 kilogram food in a day. Now 20,000 birds is a very big number, and they used to destroy 20 to 25 acres of wheat land in just one day. For a couple of weeks, farmers tried to deal with them, but emu would leave one field and move to another field. Till now, 300 to 350 acres of land had been destroyed. This issue was now becoming serious. When Australia came to know about this, the Australian government immediately took action and started thinking about getting rid of the emu. In his view, there was only one rapid solution to this issue: military operation. Yes, the Australian government told the military to take action against the emu. Launch an operation. This was a very strange operation, which the media named the Great Emu War. The Australian military, which had recently retired from World War II, felt that when they had defeated their virtual enemies, this Emu War, which field is the radish. The government sent a few soldiers to Western Australia with machine guns and a few thousand rounds. This task seemed like a game in his left hand, but by the time the operation started, it started raining in Western Australia due to heavy rains. The groups of emus spread over a very large area, which now became difficult to target. Given this issue, the attack on emu was postponed for a month. How would you have handled the situation differently if you were in charge? What happened during the initial encounters of the Emu War? On the 2nd day of November, 1932, soldiers received a report that a few emus had been spotted in a village named Campion. However, by the time the soldiers arrived, the emus, instead of flocking together, scattered in all directions, making it difficult for the soldiers to collect them. Let us tell you here that the legs of the emu birds are very strong, and surprisingly, they can run at a speed of 70 miles per hour. However, in this condition, the soldiers opened fire on the birds. In total, only 5 to 7 birds were killed in this attack, and the rest disappeared in the fields like stars in the daytime. The first attack had failed miserably. Out of 2,000, only 5 to 7 emus died. This marked the initial setback of the military operation. Within 2 to 4 days, the soldiers resolved to lie an emu within the fields to approach the birds closely. They planned to wait and then commence firing. This time, approximately 1,000 birds entered the fields. As they approached the concealed soldiers, the troops opened fire, but fortune was not on their side. Only about 24 emus were killed before the machine gun jammed. Before the weapon could be repaired, all the birds had vanished back into the fields. Thus, the second assault of the military operation also ended in a disgraceful failure. Have you ever faced a situation where things didn't go as planned? Share your story. How did the soldiers' subsequent strategies unfold in the Emu War? Now, for the third attack, the soldiers decided to go to the south from Campion, where there was a large number of emus. They were present. If the soldiers wanted to achieve any success, then it could have been achieved here, but this time they noticed a very interesting thing in the group. They saw that the group was divided into different groups, and each group had a leader who was in a way protecting the rest of the emus. They were busy eating the wheat fields, but the leader kept his eyes focused on the coming danger. As soon as he got the inkling of the arrival of the soldiers, the leader used to drive away all those groups of emus from there. Now the soldiers were tired of chasing, and this battle against emus was becoming heavy for them, as it happens in wars when the enemy is not being controlled in one way. Then the strategy has to be changed, and the Australian military also tried to teach emus a lesson. They decided to change their strategy. Now they made a plan that they would install the machine gun behind a vehicle, quickly enter the herd of emu, and then from the moving vehicle itself, they would fire at the running emus. But as they were thinking, maybe it happens in a real war. But here, the enemy was undoubtedly a non-flying bird, but was a very clever bird, because the vehicle had to move on rough fields, i.e. off-road, so obviously it was very difficult for the machine gun operator to aim at the running emus. After firing several rounds, a single bullet hit the right target. Well, the soldiers continued to adopt this strategy, but due to speeding off-road, a running emu got stuck in the steering of the car, due to which the car went into the bushes and crashed. In this attempt, 2,000 rounds were fired, and only 200 birds were killed. The fourth attack and the new strategy had also failed. The operation was stopped for a short time. After a few weeks, the operation was started again, and this time, the attack was less successful. Overall, the soldiers managed to kill around 1,000 birds, but after firing a total of 10,000 rounds, it means that 10 bullets were fired to kill one emu. When this matter was raised in the Australian Parliament, the performance of the military was criticized, but there was a lot of objection. The politicians said that if any medal was to be given for this performance, then it should be given to emus, who dodged 9 out of 10 bullets very cleverly, and despite spending so much, hit only 1,000 birds out of 20,000. Can you think of a time when you had to change your strategy to succeed? Tell us about it. Emu War costs, success or failure. At that time, $10,000 was spent on this operation, which today amounts to more than $100,000. This was a very shameful defeat for the Australian military. The military operation was stopped. That is, time had won this war. As time passed, the population of emu kept increasing, and every year the farmers were suffering heavy losses. This time, the Australian government entered the field with a new strategy. They distributed thousands of weapons among the farmers and made bounties. That is, the more emus the farmer killed, the more he would get. According to that bounties, this method still worked, and after 2 years, 57,000 bounties were claimed in 6 months in 1934. When this news went on, the international media, animal rights organizations, made a lot of noise and people started criticizing the Australian government. What would the Australian government have done? They also had to stop this boundary system, which was not able to control 20,000 emus in 1932. Today, the population of emus in Australia is around 6 to 7 lakhs, and farmers are now running wild around their fields. To protect the animals, they keep fences, which has now become a common practice in Australia. What are your thoughts on the measures taken by the Australian government during the Emu War? Share your views in the comments. While farmers in Australia may not face the same threats from wild animals as elsewhere, the historic Emu War stands as a unique and unforgettable chapter in the nation's history. If you enjoyed this journey through history and the curious tale of the Emu War, don't forget to hit the like button. Share this video to keep the story alive, comment your thoughts below, and subscribe for more fascinating tales. Your support helps us bring more such stories to light. Until next time, stay curious.